Hi, everyone. I'm Samantha, and for this week 3 discussion, telling a story on a postbellum American, I will be discussing James Withers Sloss, who is the founder of Sloss Furnace in Birmingham, Alabama, and who also had a big impact on the founding of Birmingham as a city. James was born on April 7th, 1920, to Joseph and Clarissa Sloss near Mooresville, Alabama, in Limestone County. His father was an accountant, and he apprenticed as a bookkeeper in a butcher shop. And James had no formal education, and overall, him and his family were not of a high status and very high in just the social aspect of society. James was an investor and an industrialist when it came to Birmingham and trying to establish the furnace and the city. And when he got to what is now Birmingham, it was only just a valley with the conditions to become something greater. The materials needed to make iron were all there, but there was no city and no transportation. And this was something that James Sloss wanted to build upon. He was never able to really accomplish much due to the outbreak of the Civil War, where Sloss served in the Confederate Army. And after the war, he was then able to pick right back up with trying to establish the city of Birmingham. And he was now Colonel James Withers Sloss. James Sloss was made president of the Nashville Decatur Railroad, and his mission was to extend the railroad from Decatur to Birmingham and even into Montgomery. And his railroad that went from Nashville to Decatur eventually became affiliated with the L&N, the Louisville and Nashville Railroad, which was the biggest railroad company in the South. And this happened when there was some issues with the state bonds that he had to try to continue making his rail line bigger. And there was also some competition with other people who were trying to produce their own rail lines. And so Sloss went to Nashville and talked with the board of directors of the L&N and asked that they take over the bonds that he had, and in return, he would lease out his rail lines to them. And in the end, James Sloss and L&N would merge and become one. And in 1871, he persuaded the L&N to extend its line to the newly founded city of Birmingham. And 1871 is considered the founding date for Birmingham when it became an official city. Aside from establishing the railroad through Jones Valley and Birmingham, James Sloss is also the founder of Sloss Furnace, which is a pig iron factory. After the Civil War, when industrialization was on the rise, people were looking to create a new South. And by new South, they were meaning they wanted it to be not your typical like plantation farming South. They wanted to industrialize and have that influence that was seen up in the North. And they wanted to be more industry based. So Sloss opened for business in 1882 and became the largest mining operation in the Birmingham district and the largest producer of pig iron in the world by World War One. And just after 4 years, James Sloss had retired from the company because he was known to not really enjoy managing things. He just liked to get things running and was very successful in getting things running, but he didn't like to continuously manage. So he owned Sloss Furnace just for 4 years, and then he sold it to some investors who in 1899 renamed the furnace to Sloss Sheffield Steel and Iron Company, as they tried to also make steel. But as more competition started coming in, they decided to stick to just the pig iron and were able to last for almost 40 years in production. So they were very successful in producing iron, and they even produced for countries overseas. And in November of 1881, the Birmingham Press promoted Sloss as a candidate for governor. And in the newspaper, it was stated his excellent business qualifications, brilliant intellect, splendid character, and fine executive ability all combined make him the grandest man in Alabama today for our chief executive. He is the very personification of Christian manhood and integrity, possessing the qualification of head and heart which we should emulate. Inspired by such rhetoric, Alabama, not surprisingly, eagerly embraced what was being called the gospel of industrialism. Though nothing ever came of him being governor, there was just a lot of people that endorsed his candidacy, but he never ran and was never elected or anything. Um, some other more personal facts about James Sloss. He produced 12 children with his first wife, Mary Bigger, and his second wife, Maddie. He died in 1890 in Birmingham and is buried in Birmingham's Oak Hill Cemetery. He was inducted, and he was just this year inducted into the Birmingham Business Hall of Fame. And Sloss Furnace now is still, I guess, up and running per se, as you can go and take tours and go learn about the history of Sloss. And they also hold a music festival there and other various things for the city. And it's a very interesting place and has a very interesting history. Thank you.